to the Osmo.com live before lock show. We'll be taking you through all the games on today's slate, some important late breaking news, including the possibility of a Boban Marjanovic sighting. What a day. I'm Chris Spags, joined by the smartest man in the NBA DFS industry, Fast Eddie Fear. How's it going, Eddie?
I'm going to soundly reject that description. There's an
I said it like
incredible number of intelligent people in this industry, and I'd hope to rank in the top half, but smartest, I'm not. I don't think intelligence is so easily quantified or ranked, but if somehow I did, I still don't think I'm landing at the top of a very distinguished list there, but I appreciate the accolades.
The smartest man on camera with me right now. That much we can definitely say for sure.
Okay. Unless you're multi-streaming your webcam and you're not wearing pants again or something. But yeah, I think that's
the bottom half.
That's a little more reasonable.
Let's do the plug real fast. Make sure to join us for the live before lock promo code on osmo.com. You join us now, you'll get 1 week free of all the ownership projections, Eddie's rankings, as well as Josh's projections, which are also very good and very helpful. So go get on board with that now. Promo code live before lock. Eddie, let's go up front with the value guys. Again, we got some big Boban news. We got a bunch of other guys who are very cheap and could have some upside. Who are you going to go with?
I love that. Somebody started with move your microphone up. That's fine. You may text that to me at 6:03 every single day. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, So Boban, there's not a lot of history of talking about how well Boban can play on a back-to-back in this type of situation. Boban played approximately 19 or 20 minutes of the second half. You can look it up for me. But he played a few minutes in the first half last night, and there was foul trouble on Harrell and foul trouble on Gortat, and they both looked like shit, and Embiid was absolutely pushing their shit in and eating their lunch and drinking their milkshake and any other form of owning them aphorism you can come up with. Boban came in and radically changed that game starting the second half. I watched the entirety of that game. So he looked great, but he's not human, as I understand it, and, played 20 minutes in the second half, give or take a minute. He played almost the entire second half. I don't know if anyone can give us a number on that. So now they're on the road. They're in Orlando. So now he's traveling across the damn country in what I presume is not a seat adequately sized for his girth and or frame. And they're going to creak him out here and try to start against a team that's going to run at least a little bit. And I say that all by ways of finding ways to not completely love him, but I'm pretty sure I love him. Like, Gortat is uncertain, and Gortat has looked terrible. They are a team that can run. Like, I will say this. The biggest reason I am concerned is that everyone saw this news, saw the big Boban game yesterday, and went, oh, they're changing the starting lineup. Must be Boban. Even if they change the starting lineup, I'm giving you only 50% it's Boban. You have a real chance of getting Gallinari starting at the 5, who is 6'10", 6'11". He's not a little dude. Pushing Tobias down and starting someone else further up the lineup, starting Lou Will alongside people, starting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander next to Pat Beverly. Like, there's a lot of ways I could think of revising this lineup that achieve the goal, which is getting Gortat's ass off the court. So I'm not 100% you still see appreciable minutes of Boban tonight. I'm pretty sure you see some Boban, and that already makes him a pretty attractive play, because if he costs $3,800 and plays 8 minutes, yeah, he could get there. Like, he could still be like, yeah, he can score 20 fantasy points in 8 minutes. He's done it several times. Rankings are up, by the way. I had to make a last minute Boban adjustment, but I have adjusted for the Bobanator.
That almost worked for the name, but Boban adjustment.
Yeah. So honestly, I very much enjoy him at the moment on FanDuel, where you can drop the score if it goes shit sideways, and there's no centers that make me wicked happy. On DraftKings, if I'm building one lineup, I still think I'm playing Wendell Carter Jr. and Jared Allen first. And there's other centers I like at prices that are more tolerable there. So that's just sort of my gut feeling at the moment. But if we get news that he's starting, then yeah, you have to windmill slime it. Then it just goes to 100%. Then you're just loading it in everywhere and making whatever adjustments you can, because a conservative starting minutes estimate would be 20. And the correct, supposed fantasy points in 20 would be 31 or something at $3,700. You just then have to load it in, would be my take on the Boban situation. So I've got news, I've got tweets. Let me see. Ennis is in and starting. Okay. Which is cute. But yeah, on value is always really site dependent, which is why I always have a little more trouble with position by position as opposed to player by player or just like list or value, because there's at least 3 sites I usually look at every day. If I have time, I look at Draft and Alarm, and that's a lot of work to do. But I really like Jonathan Isaac. I don't even really hate him in cash. On DraftKings, where he's $4,400. Jonathan Simmons has been ruled out, so I do think you're looking more like 30-minute Jonathan Isaac than 22. And at $4,400, he's a guy I like, certainly for tournaments. I don't know if I can have Noah Vonleh as a value play, but last game to some degree inflated due to 3 steals and 2 blocks. He was just one of those guys who stacked up his steals and blocks and managed to hit. Sorry, I was handling some.
Yeah, he's a little inflated value, but I think he's still in range. I was all over Vonleh the other day. I'm back on Vonleh again. I think he's not priced up enough where he should be.
Yeah.
So to get you like 4x plus 14 on DraftKings, you could still, that's 34 points.
4x plus 14, interesting. That's a larger contestant and a lower modifier. I think that's reasonable. I don't hate that modifier. Isaac or PJ Tucker? I think I will play Isaac with Ennis coming back and starting, and Melo still having a little more significant role. Now I don't think I'm getting 39 minutes of PJ Tucker. I think those come down by 5 or 6. So at that point, I have absolutely no issue with PJ Tucker as just a tournament play. He's always been a guy who carries a tournament upside because he can bang out corner threes and do steals and blocks and randomly pick up 10 rebounds and a very quick 10-10, double-double with points and rebounds there. So I don't have a problem with that, but I'd be a little more inclined towards Jonathan Isaac, but not so much that I'd be super worried about it.
Also, FYI, if you did update your rankings, they didn't go through everybody's saying.
Really?
Yeah.
That's disturbing. God, I gotta like remote connect and all this shit again. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
That's pretty annoying.
What are your thoughts on
Boban is a C in cash and an A in tournaments as of this second, which obviously may change around a little bit. Okay, reconfiguring remote session. Sorry, go ahead.
One other semi-value guy I think you should just touch on fast, because a lot of people have been chasing him recently, is Siakam. What are your thoughts on him? He's priced up a little on DK, and then OG Anunoby is supposed to be back in the lineup. So how does that affect your views on him?
I mean, he'd be more of a cash play for me at this point. The price is raised. I think there's real potential for a blowout. Anunoby is back, so his minutes come down by another 5 and 6 with Anunoby and Leonard back in there. So don't hate him, but a lot of people are going to go there, and there's several negative factors. We're looking at potential blowout and those guys back. So feel free. Certainly a guy who carries an upside. If I saw him in your tournament lineup, I wouldn't be like, oh, what a terrible play, but I would rather play Serge Ibaka, where he's still just too cheap at $5,500 on DK. I'd rather spend a little more if I'm looking for, big from that game in that position. Okay, here we go. Upload. Try this again.
Boban 2 fouls in 2 minutes. That is a very realistic possibility. Kicks good on YouTube.
Waiting local. I got 4 successfuls when I'm supposed to get 2. When someone gets a second, confirm those are in there for me. I'll leave the remote session up for the moment. So where were we? Okay, so other value guys. I would rather play Dante Exum in tournaments and probably in cash relative to Royce O'Neal. I think, let me know when we get a message on the rankings being up.
Yeah, let's see. If you guys if the rankings are working for you guys, please confirm it in the Slacks just so we know.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to go for the 4th time this year on my chalk guy power fade and say I wouldn't play any Ricky Rubio.
Wow. Okay.
I hate the matchup enough. Micro, macro, and again, it's using the same theory as I did all the other 3 times, where this was a guy who was very, very popular, who I think could very possibly fall on his face and fail. There is a chance you get big Ricky Rubio game here. Obviously, the usage can come significantly up, minus Donovan Mitchell. I don't think it necessarily does. I think having Exum out there, a healthy Exum, changes things a lot. In the previous games you're looking at, Sans, Donovan Mitchell, you don't have Exum there, and that matters a lot. Even if he was present in some of those games, he's just a markedly better player this year. He's someone they want to be a big role going forward. And if he stays healthy, he should be, because he's a really good player. This year, if you look at his fantasy points, he's probably getting close to a fantasy point a minute. On his career, he's at like 2/3 of a fantasy point a minute because he just hasn't been healthy and has been in a strictly backup role. He's actually got some industry and some onus on his shoulders now. Rubio has sucked against Mike Conley, as have most point guards for quite some time. I'll run the query. I just have in my notes that he's got 3 minuses next to his name in that particular matchup. So let's... So looking at the micro matchup loading. Okay, last game, Ricky Rubio started against Mike Conley. Ricky Rubio played 29 minutes, had 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. Okay, game before that, played 38 minutes, 14 points, 6 assists, and a rebound, 2 turnovers, no steals, no blocks. Game before that, 34 minutes, 2 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, no steals, no blocks, 2 turnovers. Game before that, 33 minutes, 4 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, no steals, no blocks, 2 turnovers. Game before that, 34 minutes again, 5 points, 9 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 block, 3 turnovers. Like, none of these are any the fuck good. Now, if you go back the one beyond that, in true disclosure, 15, 12, and 6, the one before that. Sure, and that can end that one, by the way, in only 29 minutes. And sure, there's a very real possibility. But also, these two teams played this year. Not surprisingly, Rubio was shit. Everyone was shit in that game. They put up 175 points. Hold on, let me find that one. They had one truly woefully shitty 176. I missed it by 1. The Grizzlies won 92-84 in Utah. Gobert had 34. He was the highest scoring player on that team. That was the one Rubio played 29 minutes and had 21 fantasy points. Like, so can I see a world in which the usage doesn't flow to Exum and Rubio's minutes pick up and his usage picks up and he puts up 15 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal, and a block, and 44 fantasy points and tramples my idea here? Yes, I think that is very, very possible. I'm not guaranteeing he does badly. I'm saying I think it's more likely than not he doesn't justify his price. And if he's going to be, what's our ownership projection? 28%? Something like that?
I think it was higher, closer to the mid-30s last I saw.
Right. I'll fade it. But, you know, in the interest of full disclosure, I can see other people going the other way, but I think the presence of Exum makes it a little more like when you have Donovan Mitchell out there. I think the complete shit game last time, I think the long record against Conley, I think, there seems to be a very good chance to me you get 20 out of him, and so many other guys in the field I like. I'd look elsewhere. If I was playing today, my flag I would plant would be 0 Ricky Rubio. So there's my hot take. Okay. We're 3-0 this year on fade this popular guy everyone loves. We're going to try to go 4-0. So there it is.
I'm above it just because the NBA WOWY numbers with Mitchell off the floor jump off. And if you go back to February, go back to this year. I mean, if you go to this year, there's very few minutes, and it's been like 4 points per minute for Rubio and for Gobert. So obviously you could throw that one out. But going back to last year, it's hard for me to avoid. But I do agree the pace is a little worrisome. And the ownership percentage is a little worrisome. I think that game could have a little more fantasy scoring than it seems, but I wouldn't go full fade, but I think you're right in coming under the field. I think that's probably a smarter approach.
Yeah, I like if I'm going to under the field, why not let it go? Like, because again, the only reason that I say I'm not going to play 0%, I'm going to play 10%, is I think there's a chance he throws up a monster, right? Because that's all I'm fading is like, well, Ricky Rubio runs the slate, and I just don't consider that likely in this spot. Like, I guess he can triple-double. He's done it once in a while where he randomly grabs the rebounds, but yeah, I'm much more excited in playing Dante Exum than I am playing Royce O'Neal, than I am playing Ricky Rubio. Like, I want to take the leverage plays. I'd play Joe Ingles first.
Wow. Okay. No, it's a bold take. I think the people will appreciate that. At least you're taking a stand, and a lot of people go wishy-washy.
And again, I'm usually Mr. Wishy-washy. I hate strong takes because I think it's you get that whole Skip Bayless brand of journalism, and it's like, oh, look, cool, so I'm just going to take a position stand. I really try to present both sides of things. So, yes, there has been massive usage for him when you take Donovan Mitchell, of course, not surprisingly. But, yeah, I can just see a real chance it goes absolutely sideways. So I'll take the under in case it goes absolutely sideways. That's where I'm coming down on that.
Yeah, that's fair. Who else are you? I guess who are the other key guys that we need to look at in that price range? We're going to pick up a ton of ownership that you think we should address before we go through the rest. John Wall we have projected to be the highest owned on the slate. I'm not sure about that. But
I'm fine with that. I like Wall. I like Westbrook. I like Wall and Westbrook if you're looking at DK. Feel free to just stack those two guys the hell up and go to town. They can occasionally limit each other, but both these teams have wicked pace right now. Neither of them end up being super focused on playing defense when you play against each other. Russell Westbrook has, I believe, 3 triple-doubles in the last 5 games he started against John Wall. John Wall has like an average of 52 fantasy points in those games. Like that's just an absolutely fine spot for both of them. If you're not playing Wall, play Beal. If you're playing on DraftKings, I'm not a real fan of letting them both go, though you can obviously both do it. Jared Allen, I will say, I've seen a lot of analysis of today, and I want to say, like, whereas in the last game he fouled out in 22 minutes, in the game before that they just shit on his minutes. Like, he just played the first 4 minutes of the third quarter and came out and never came back in a close game. So you should be appropriately concerned there, and I haven't heard that as much as I think I should have, in full disclosure. So that was very concerning for me because I liked him a lot in that spot, and I liked him a lot in the last game, and he's very, very point per minute, instructive. But Rondé Hollis-Jefferson is back now too, and he, can play the 5. And in the last game with Allen fouled out, played the 5 in overtime. So I like Jared Allen. I think they want him out there. I really like his micro matchup against Clint Capella, but I am not without concern. So you're without concern 5K guys, Wendell Carter Jr. You just want to play one of them. Jared Allen is an ideal tournament pivot. Okay, let's keep going. If I forgot anything, I expect questions. Like when people say name your value plays, I'm like, oh, there's always 11 of them, and I'm always worried I'm going to miss 2 of them. So gave a Boban take, gave a Royce take, gave a Dante take.
Yeah, those seem like the main guys to worry about.
James Ennis III is going to start, and he's my boy. I don't know what to tell you. It's fucking Brooklyn. I love Chris Paul again. I especially love him on FanDuel. DK, again, I have Wall and I have Westbrook, so I wouldn't need to stack down. But, yeah, again, giving you the very brief version of that last game, everything went against him that possibly could. And he had like 43, 44 fantasy points. This is his 3rd game without Harden, and this time he has Brooklyn, which is a very nice matchup, and he's only 9,100 on FanDuel, and I would just 100% it on FanDuel.
Melo on the floor too, which I like. I think Melo, he's been trying to get Melo going a little too much.
Oh, yeah. But like you looked at that last game, he missed 3 layups, of which he should have made at least 2, which were basically open. He ended up with 9 assists, where they blew 10 of his last 9 assist opportunities when 7 of them were wide open. He ended up like you play that game out, which went very badly, and they got crushed in. I think he averages 56 fantasy points the way that went. I really obviously liked him in that spot. And his price has come down. Eric Gordon's price has come down like $1,000 from the first of these games. And he gets fucking Brooklyn. And, he's a gunner. All he does is shoot. And in those couple games without James Harden, he's shooting like 20% from 3 and 30% from the field. Like, I guess maybe that continues against Brooklyn. But if he shoots his career averages, he's going to score 37 points in each of these games. Like, I'm a big fan of getting some Eric Gordon in your life, and because of what I don't think are perennial depressive issues, you're going to have Paul and Gordon at lower ownerships. I would think we have a pretty good FanDuel ownership on Chris Paul, like 28-30%. I bet DK it's like 17, but
DK was pretty low. Actually DK 10% is what we have right now.
Yeah, and like there's a very, very, and I hate recommending the same guy after and it's been generally a very good year, and he's coming way under on what I wanted twice in a row, and you feel like an idiot doing a 3rd time in a row, but that shouldn't matter, and that shouldn't be how you do it. So yeah, I still strongly like it. If you're telling me Chris Paul is 10%, I don't know what to tell you. Like your argument for this not working out is he's a markedly worse basketball player, and Melo, who isn't even starting next to him anymore, by the way, is that bad and screws stuff up. And Melo's bad. He fucks shit up. He makes things worse. Like, but, that's just got to be where I land on that.
Also, just FYI, rankings still not updated in case you thought they were.
Seriously. It's giving me a success message, so someone get Eddie Lai on the phone here.
Eddie, where's 1-800 Eddie? Somebody call 1-800 Eddie right now and get Eddie on the phone.
Let's see. All right, go ahead. Keep talking to me about things.
Yeah. Let's talk about one other value-ish guy. I think we should talk about the bigs. I think based on my construction, and I think some of the ownership, I think that one other big was important to talk about is Wendell Carter. I feel like people are going to go him as a pivot, who's a little bit more expensive than Boban if we do know Boban's in a lineup. He's coming off a gigantic game, so there should be some point chasing there. What do you think about Wendell Carter's prospects versus Indiana?
He's great. I still don't like, and I realize he got there last time, but again, the 2 days ago was literally the day of, hey, I got 6 steals and blocks, and ended up being wicked amazing. It happened with Von Lynn, Carter, and 9 other guys. Carter's still, he's your cash center on DraftKings, I think. There's a lot of guys I like in tournaments, but at 5,000, you just project him really well, and there's rankings went in. Lots of, apologize for the delay. I swear to God, I hit the upload multiple times. I guess we're still like 40 minutes before lock, but that's annoying how that went.
They're showing for me too, by the way, just so you know.
Yeehaw. Yeah, I like Wendell Carter a ton on DK. You can play him in cash. You can play him in tournaments. 5,000 is too cheap. He's just underpriced.
20 shots last game, which won't happen every time, but that's a lot of shots.
It was like 19 the game before, too. Like, he started shooting. If you look at the 3 games preceding it where he had 20 to 23 fantasy points, he was shooting 4 of 9, 2 of 8, 3 of 11, whatever it was. Finally, started taking some shots, and I do not like the micro matchup for Zach LaVine, so people are a little higher on him than I would be today. I would rather play Carter. I would rather play Parker. This is going to happen all year. There's going to be guys I hate one day and like the next day, and not different situations, but it's just ownership. Jabari Parker is going to come down to 13% owned. He was 35 last time. I hated him last time. Kind of like him this time.
How are you feeling? A lot of questions about Dwight Howard right now, and I feel like we should hit on him because people seem really curious. Apparently, he's not going to have a minutes limit tonight. He's coming off of a butt injury. So,
if they literally say he's won't have a minutes limit, I got to source that. Like, I see the Fantasy Labs tweet. So there should be a lot of commentary there. Like, he's 52 on DK, I want to say. I don't recall his FanDuel price. FanDuel, he's 62. It's not insanity, but on FanDuel, I'm still thinking of playing Boban, who I would project, like 18 minutes of Boban is good for about 30 minutes of Dwight Howard. 5,200 on DK. All right, now you're in that Wendell Carter, Jared Allen group. No minutes limit. The fact that that's even I really want sourcing. I want a beat reporter. I want coach's exact words or something. But I will presume it is something to the effect of they said, will he have minutes limit? And he said, no, we'll see how it goes, but he can play as long as he can play. I still don't think you get 35 minutes. That's possible, but understand this is a team that likes to go small a lot, too. Like, they like to play Markieff at center, and I don't know if they want to completely expurgate, Mahinmi from the lineup, so very possibly you get 10 minutes of Keefe, 10 minutes of Mahinmi, 28 minutes of Dwight Howard. That being said, he's now pretty interesting in tournaments. People are going to be just as uncertain as I am, and there's a very real upside there. He's 5,200. You can obviously get 30 out of him, but I would also caution he's going to start, and the matchup isn't great. Steven Adams is going to bang him around, which also, by the way, if you want to find a way to aggravate an injury, playing center against Steven Adams is a pretty good way to start because he's going to smack your body around quite a bit. Like, Markieff Morris won't have a minutes limit, just came out right after it. So, like, they both don't have limits, but they're limited by each other.
There's a quote from Scott Brooks in the YouTube chat. No restrictions. We're excited about having him. He brings a couple things we need from Scott Brooks.
Okay. Like, he doesn't hedge at all there. No. At this point, he would now represent a compelling tournament play for me on DraftKings. FanDuel, same thing. 6,200 on FanDuel, still perfectly compelling tournament play. Neither one can I do it in cash. DK, I will still slightly prefer both Jared Allen and Wendell Carter. But in tournaments, you're going to get them at like 9% owned, and that's pretty damn appealing. So very, very reasonable to be looking that way now with that commentary.
Let's talk about another guy. I think, let's just lean on the wisdom of the crowd because I feel like this will make it a little easier to judge who we should talk about. There's a lot of questions about Jimmy Butler coming in. Obviously, he's returning to the lineup. Wasn't expected to be back. It was thought that he was going to kind of hold out / rest or whatever, some bullshit reasoning. But he's back in. How do you feel about him? And also, how do you feel about Derrick Rose coming off that gigantic game? And how is Butler going to affect it?
Yeah, I don't think it can be considered good for anyone. Like, all right, Teague is still out. That's good. But Tyus, at least in theory, is back after his foot aggravation. And the matchup, the player on this team I'm most excited about would probably still be Towns. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty with all these guys. I imagine Rose starts again at point guard. And I like Derrick Rose at his price on point guard. There is a very real upside there. I'd rather him playing point guard than the wings. When you talk about a guy like Jimmy Butler spends the whole game guarded by Clay and Durant and guys who are very good at defense. And whereas, I don't have an issue playing Jimmy Butler on DraftKings where he's 8,000. Like, he can get you 45. He can get 50. I don't think this is a spot you're likely to get 66 out of him. Now, can it happen? Sure. The pace is through the goddamn roof. It begins with a 24, which isn't something we see that frequently in the NBA. So, yeah, I'm not going to have any issue with you playing him in anything, but I think it's a little more likely you get apeshit Towns than Butler, but they do have each other a fair amount, and they both limit Rose a fair amount. So, they're all too cheap for the kind of upside you could get out of them here. I think I would predict Karl Anthony Towns for a hair under 50. There's a real chance he gets 60, 65 here. I would project Jimmy Butler for like 41. There's a real chance he gets 55, 60 here. I would project Derrick Rose probably for something like 28 minutes and 31 fantasy points, which is very, very nice at his price. But there's some degree of uncertainty with all these guys. So stacking this game is interesting, taking two of those three guys and two of the studs on Golden State and packing in Boban, etc., value to be able to fill out a lineup. I think there is a very, very real chance that the Warriors just crush them. Mm-hmm. Like, 50-point games out of Derrick Rose are not predictable. And thus far this year, Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns aren't guys who we've looked at and thought, oh, these are guys who are playing great together, and they're going into Oracle. Like, I
11-point spread, too. That's definitely Warriors blowout range.
Right. So I think there is, like, obviously the over-under is absolutely massive, but I do think there's a reasonable chance they get crushed. Now, Thibodeau crushed is not everyone else crushed. Thibodeau thinks crushed is only when you're down by at least 40 with 3 minutes to go. So, like, there's still the upside there. Jesus, thank you everyone who is tweeting me and sending me messages about the, oh, Jesus. That's what happens when you open up the Slack after a couple minutes in the oh god. Okay, so yeah, basically what it comes into me is I don't really want to play any of those guys in cash. Certainly like on DraftKings, and the prices on FanDuel aren't nearly as advantageous. So playing Rose or Butler or Towns in cash anywhere feels kind of dirty to me. I like having at least one in your tournament lineups. I like having a guy on Golden State and a guy on Minnesota in your tournament lineups. If you end up with 2 and 1, that's fine. Stacking the game itself is fine as well, but it's not like can I get absolutely everybody in there that I possibly can.
Speaking of Philly Daily on the premium Slack, and again, the premium Slack gets first dibs, so use that promo code live before lock and get in so you can be on the premium Slack and get your questions answered first. But he's asking, is it viable to play Draymond and Durant in a FanDuel GPP or Curry instead of Durant? I guess, how would you rank the Warriors guys for GPP on FanDuel or DK?
Yeah, all fairly similar, simply because, like, Steph and Durant are the two cashier of them. They're probably going to get you 45 to 55 the vast majority of the time. They actually have pretty consistent production. They're expensive, which almost makes them worse in tournaments because their upside isn't usually that much more massive than what you can occasionally pick up out of Clay. We just saw 60 whatever the hell out of him with 52 real points. And Draymond, because you can do 11 steals and blocks. And those guys cost 6x and 7x as opposed to 10,000 each. So sort of for tournaments for the same reason there. I probably defer a little bit to Draymond over Clay, over Durant, over Steph in this particular micro matchup. Is how I guess I would rank them in tournaments. Probably Draymond, Clay, Durant, Steph. Which is weird to say that Steph is my fourth favorite tournament guy because obviously he's been just going out and shooting 60% from 3 and taking 40-footers and making them. And it's looked amazing, but especially, he asked on FanDuel, Steph's 10-7 on FanDuel. Like, I really need, 65 to feel like he demolished that price. He's 1,600 more than Chris Paul. I have him projected almost identically. Like, it's really difficult. So for tournaments, yeah, I would, and again, on DK, he's much closer. I think he's 10-3 there. Durant is 9-9. I slightly prefer Durant for the discount and because it's a matchup. It's weird. These two teams haven't played a lot of normal games. They played one at the end of last year with most hands on deck. They played only 3 times last year. Once Steph was out. Once Durant was out. Twice Butler was out. Like, there just hasn't been a lot of discernible history to look at here. But with all hands back on deck for this for the Warriors, I am worried they just beat the living shit out of them.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And some concerns there. Again, the Vegas total is really bad for them. So that's one thing that shook me off a little bit. One question from Tighten Up Turn Up in the premium Slack. Any concerns for KD in this matchup versus Jimmy? I wouldn't have any because of the length, and Jimmy's not that good of a defender. But how about you, Eddie?
Jimmy's an excellent defender. Like, I don't want to sell him short. He's not world
Not
class.
Durant
He's
caliber.
like tier
Nobody's
2.
Durant
He's not
caliber.
Kawhi, but he's one class under where I would put Kawhi Leonard as far as a defender.
Fair.
But no, he's performed very well against Jimmy Butler. Like, I actually have their micro logs back up. The last 3 games he started against Jimmy Butler, where I have Jimmy guarding 61% of his shots. His lines were 29, 9, and 7, 33, 6, and 5, and 35, 12, and 5. Those are all fine.
Not bad.
And one time last year where one of the games he was in, Steph was out and Butler was out, he triple-doubled. I believe it was one of the 1 or 2 triple-doubles you got out of Kevin Durant last year. So, no, I'm not worried about the Durant matchup.
Here's the thing which has been popping up for me, popped up a bunch on Fantasy Cruncher at some point in the day, and I think it got tempered, but I think people might be following it still. Bama Boy on the premium Slack asking, any Grayson Allen tonight? I think that's a little too cute for me, but what do you think, Eddie?
I would not play any. The theory, like, he has not played more than, I'm ballparking this, 13 minutes in a game this year or something like that. Now, we are missing Donovan Mitchell. I don't, maybe he gets 24 minutes. That would shock me. I consider that very unlikely. I will take the under 20 if I was to project his minutes tonight. But we'll go with a really high expectation and say he gets 24 minutes. What do you think he gives you? I say 18. Like, you are really asking for a lot to go your way. So, a lot of people in tournament lineups, you see guys who are like, I'm going to take this guy. He's just 3K. I think he can get me 18. That's not good enough. And I don't think he can get you 18. But even if he does, that's generally not, good enough. The spot has a value. I don't want to go into a long game theory thing here, but the spot has a lot of value. You need your value guys to get you 30 or 40 to win tournaments. Like, if your value guys are getting you 18, that's why the constant is basically, we were talking about 4x plus 14. Okay, that's closer. Would that give you 26 for a guy who's 3K? That's around the right number. But yeah, the spot has significant value, and you pay a tax for that spot. It's $3,000 a head for the spot, and it's worth more than it is frequently treated as. So I would not play Grayson Allen for that reason. I don't think he gets more. I'll project him for 17 minutes, but I need to radically miss that projection, and he needs to perform to be better than that in what, again, is just a dreadful fucking matchup. Like, this game, I don't know what the over-under is on this game. It's probably like 205, which, again, is the equivalent of a 186 last year or something. But, yeah, I'm not inclined towards Grayson Allen. There's my theory.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And it's hold on, I just scrolled past it. God damn it. Memphis is under 100. I know that off of here. Memphis 98.8, Utah 105.8. So very low by modern NBA standards.
204.6 if I heard that right. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think it rounds up also 206 or 20 whatever the math was there. 206.5, I believe is what it is, or something like that. Let's see. Will Devin Booker be guarded by Danny Green tonight? Let's talk about this game a little bit. Sure. Also, legal trouble. We talked about Dwight already. I don't know that there was much more to add about Dwight.
Fine to play in tournaments at this point. That's the 5-second Dwight take. You can absolutely do it in tournaments. In cash, there's guys I like more on both sides.
Tell me about Devin Booker and what do you think about him? It looks like he's probable now. Obviously, that's going to affect a ton of things on the Sun side and maybe give him at least a shooter's shot at staying in that game versus Toronto. How do you feel about it? And also, does it boost Danny Green at all? Moses Guthrie wants to know.
Yeah, I saw the question. It was like, will Devin Booker be guarded by Danny Green? Does that boost Danny Green? What boosts Danny Green is if he's guarded by Devin Booker, not the other way around. So this game is very interesting top to bottom. I think Devin Booker is okay to play in tournaments just because he has a very mobile, even Clay-esque upside where he can just go off and do his thing. And he could take 30 shots tonight and even make 16 of them, which isn't that crazy to think, and go super well. But the game is a bit of a mess. Like, a lot of people are all over TJ Warren. I've heard a lot of TJ Warren. They're like, I'm getting TJ Warren in there. They're giving the start again. Yeah, Devin Booker is back, and he's going to take 25 goddamn shots if he plays any reasonable number of minutes, and he's playing the Raptors. Like, I don't have a problem playing TJ Warren. There's absolutely an upside there, but people are talking like he's going to be 25% owned. That's the same thing as the Rubio thing. Like, you can't see how that goes wrong. Like, they're playing the Raptors. There's blowout possibilities. Booker's back, and he could take all the shots. Like, I could see single-digit fantasy points out of TJ Warren tonight. Wouldn't shock me, where he takes only 11 shots, makes 3 of them, and does shit all else, because sometimes he does shit all else. Like, Raptors are a legit defense, so I'm fine with you playing TJ Warren in a tournament, but I suspect he's more popular than I'd want him to be. Do we have projections of, like, 15%? 18%?
I feel like it's lower than that, but oh, you know what? 16%. You nailed it on the first try.
I and again, both I and the projection could be wrong, but it's just my gut guess at it. I can see a lot of ways that goes the hell wrong. We just watched these Wizards get blown out by 30 by the Spurs. So, not these Wizards, sorry, these Suns. But I like DeAndre Ayton. He's kind of blowout proof. I got no problem with that. I like Devin Booker in tournaments. There is a real upside there, and coming back off the injury, I think his injury stays low enough. If that's the ownership on Warren, again, I think I'd rather look the other way than take the jump there. And as far as, Phoenix goes, I think it's difficult to pay that price for Kawhi, but the upside is preposterous. I think you can play Kyle Lowry sort of in cash. They may very possibly blow them out, but if they don't, he could be a monster, and the matchup is absolutely beautiful. Kanan is back, and Kanan should start. That's a wonderful thing if you're playing Kyle Lowry. I guess more. Let's just keep flying through as many questions as we can. Because I think we covered
People are asking about Terrence Ross, and I'm actually curious too, because he came up a lot for me, and I had to find myself muting him deliberately, even though I do like Terrence Ross. His minutes aren't as steady to me. He took some away from Fournier last game. He's been putting up a ton of shots, but I worry a little. I do have a ton of them, though. What do you think about Terrence Ross? Because a lot of people on the YouTube are saying Terrence Ross.
Yeah, Terrence Ross, just tournaments for a couple of reasons. He's very steal, very shot dependent. That isn't necessarily going to work out, but like the matchup, and Jonathan Simmons is out again. So he doesn't even necessarily need to steal the minutes from Fournier. He can steal the minutes from the absent Jonathan Simmons. So Terrence Ross, fine in tournaments for me, where he's around $4,000. I think he got a BB or a BA in my rankings. Like, I was a reasonable fan of Terrence Ross. I don't think the ownership should be much above like 10%. So T-Ross, fine in tournaments. I'm not doing it in cash because he can just disappear. He can shoot. I mean, anyone can disappear, obviously, but I think he has a greater propensity to it than many other players of putting up a floor game. But yeah, if I'm building 150 lineups, I have 15 Terrence Ross in there, something like that.
Yeah, I do like Ross, and I agree. There's some risk there. And again, just Fournier could regress a little back to what he's supposed to be. He's been shooting really terribly this year, even though he's had some big games. And that would limit Ross's minutes a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think the love for him is a little crazy. We do have about 1% ownership on DK too, so it doesn't take a lot to get above the field.
Yeah, 1% I really like. Like, I'll happily play 10% versus 1% and feel pretty good about it. So.
SJM26B on the premium Slack asking THJ anyone? THJ, Tim Hardaway Jr. obviously been shooting an ungodly amount, 20 shots a game, like 9 shots from 3.
Yeah, he's still cheap enough. I think he's 71 on DK now. He was 68 last time. I talked about him and said I thought he was a great tournament play. Put up 42 fantasy points. Again, very, very scoring dependent, but will continue to take 20 shots and 10 three-pointers a game, and that just profiles with the chance of giving you 40, 45, 50. So I would rather play Tim Hardaway Jr. at the ownership versus Zach LaVine. I know is someone more people like more than me today. I would rather play Eric Gordon. So, I really think Eric Gordon and Tim Hardaway Jr. project almost identically, and Eric Gordon is like $2,000 less. Or on DK, it's closer. It's like $1,200, $1,300 less. So, not a guy I'm hastening to throw in there because I like a lot of other shooting guards tonight. I like Devin Booker a little bit more. I like Victor Oladipo a bit more. Isn't just an absolute smash spot and gets Zach LaVine defense and I like Brad Beal a lot at his DK price. I like Karis LeVert a lot at his price in a game that should have some motion, and I like his spot better than, say, D'Angelo Russell's because of where the defenses should align. So I have absolutely no issue with getting Tim Hardaway Jr. in your tournament lineup. It's just actually a fairly stocked mid to high priced range shooting guard spot, so there is some opportunity cost in doing so. But I don't mind Fournier in this spot. So shooting guard is actually pretty stacked with guys I think are in decent spots to hit an upside. So feel free to Tim Hardaway Jr. Absolutely nothing wrong with putting him in any tournament lineup. I would not be overly exposed to him just because I think there are a lot of guys with an upside here.
C. D'Agostino on the premium Slack asking for your thoughts on Aaron Gordon. We've talked about some other parts of that Magic side. So how do you feel about him?
Yeah, I like Gordon or Vooch to do well here. I've talked again about trying to the forwards being a good spot to exploit this Clippers team. Don't mind him. Don't mind Tobias Harris. Probably prefer him to Tobias Harris, with Tobias Harris also dealing with travel, potential lineup changes, back-to-back on the road, etc. So I like Aaron Gordon just fine. There's no reason that he can't pull out that ceiling game. He's a somewhat difficult-to-predict guy. There's a large delta there. But, yeah, I have no issue whatsoever with Aaron Gordon in tournaments. It's, you're paying a price for him. I think he's best on DK where he's 72 off the top of my head, and that's just a fine price. He can obviously put up 45 and pay that number off. It's tough with all the value bigs are on there. Like, you can play Vonleh, you can play Jared Allen, you can play Boban, you can play Wendell Carter Jr., you can play a lot of guys with an upside who cost a couple thousand less than that. But, I don't have a problem with Aaron Gordon in tournaments, but you need it to really turn out well for you. I mean, even 40 or so, you're going to be disappointed.
Sperry202 asking for a GPP take on Wiggins for DK.
Yeah, again, someone's got to put up those numbers in that game, right? Having Butler and Towns back, obviously not great for him, and not a guy who scores a ton, but he's like 57, I think, is the number on Andrew Wiggins. Basically, the exact same call. You're hoping for gets the average volume of shots and makes a better percentage, gets extra shots and makes half of them. Somehow he pulls into 40. Definitely possible. One of the, I said I like little exposure to that game, having a guy on either side. Having Wiggins and Draymond makes me perfectly happy with the amount of that game I have in my lineup. You get some exposure without overexposing to a blowout or just, I think, an underperforming. I like the under on this game. I can see a lot of ways they don't get 240-odd points. I know it's this year's NBA, and it feels weird to want the under on anything, but I would take a gentleman's bet with anyone in the chat. I don't think they put up 242 or whatever that line is sitting at right now. But, that game's going to move. So absolutely Wiggins, who can randomly pick up peripherals, and it's not impossible you get a steal, a block, and 5 rebounds out of him to go along with your 24 points. So, yeah, no strong take there. But if you have Wiggins, I'm not looking at it as an error.
Who would be your favorite guys in the 5K range on DK who would use as a pivot off Rubio, since you did say you're not crazy about going to Rubio because of the ownership and all the other reasons you listed earlier in the show? And this guy's just asking for utility. So any position, who would you say are the pivots for Rubio?
Rubio's 5'7". Am I getting that number right?
I believe 5'6".
5'7".
Okay, yeah,
so
right.
Wiggins, who we just mentioned, I'm absolutely fine with. Melo, if you have no other exposure to the Houston team. Eric Gordon, if you can come up with the $200, I like all of those guys. Jabari Parker for $100 more. Again, the ownership will come way down. And one of the spots I would rather go at that Indiana team. Fournier for $200 less is fine. I would rather play Fournier than Lou Williams. People are generally higher on Lou than I am. We haven't much exceeded 30 fantasy points this year. Last game he got up to 31 and a quarter here. I think it was 29 on FanDuel. Okay, again, I think he generally, and again, also, by the way, older guy on the road back-to-back, he's playing 24, 25 minutes a game. He has not exceeded 26. He doesn't do much but score points, so you really need something hooey to happen to get the 35 out of him. And it literally hasn't happened this year, so I know a lot of my fellow hosts, because I'm getting tweets to that subject right now, are like, yeah, Lou Williams. I would rather play other guys I think are more likely to get 40. I would rather play Fournier. I would rather play Ibaka. I would rather play Dennis Smith Jr. at the exact same price. I would rather, I like Dennis Smith Jr. and I like JJ Barea in tournaments. I think it's likely you get back to Dennis Smith Jr. getting 30-plus minutes and Barea getting 48 minus Dennis Smith Jr. minutes. But they're both priced at the level where they can both smash the shit out of their prices. I really like $5,500 Dennis Smith Jr. Like, last game, he was terrible. He shot awfully. He was 2 from 9. He looked terrible. He got torched defensive, and they pulled him out. He only played 23 minutes. Okay, game before that, he had 32 fantasy points. Game before that, he had 37 fantasy points. Game before that, he had 38 fantasy points. And 2 of those games were against the Spurs and Utah. And now he's playing the Knicks. Like, he absolutely shat himself against the Lakers. So we have proven there's a floor in that he can get yanked even in good matchups. But there's a ceiling there, too. Like, if he doesn't get yanked, what do you project him for in 31 minutes against the Knicks? And 31 is, by the way, a low ball. The 2 games before that were 38 and 34. So, what do you honestly think he gets at $5,500? So, I certainly like some exposure there. So there's any number of guys, Rubio. But I would rather, in a tournament, play Serge Ibaka. I would rather play Dennis Smith Jr. I would rather play Evan Fournier. I would rather play Montrezl Harrell. I would rather play Derrick Rose. I would rather play Dennis Schroeder. I would rather play Harrison Barnes. I would rather play Jonas Valanciunas. I'd rather play Andrew Wiggins at the same price. If I can get 100 or 200, I'd rather play Melo or Eric Gordon. So I think there's a real chance Rubio hits the floor. And if he does, all those guys have a ceiling and could outscore Rubio by 25. So that's where I am.
That's fair. California Cool asking who'd be your favorite third guy in Washington if you were game stacking that for GPP.
I'm not sure who my second guy is, but maybe he's saying in the entire. I'm not sure what he's asking. On Washington only, so I'm playing Wall.
I would assume Wall and Beal probably.
Like I'm playing Wall and Beal already.
Yep.
At that point, it has to be either Markieff or Dwight. I don't want, with everyone back on deck, Kelly Oubre. I don't want Jeff Green. I'm presuming this game stays close, and now Markieff is back and Dwight Howard is in there and starting. They're just not going to be enough minutes for those guys. And I'm thinking the game stays close, so the starters are playing. So it's got to be another guy. If Wall and Beal are good, I think it's unlikely Otto Porter is good. So it would be probably Dwight Howard for me if I'm looking for a third guy on Washington in that game at this point.
Don't Embiid my status on the premium Slack asking, can we play Rondé House Jefferson in cash on FanDuel?
FanDuel maybe. It's 54 on FanDuel, I want to say is the number. Power forward is a little shy there. So, $8K for Draymond, more than you want to spend. 79 for Aaron Gordon, more than you want to spend. 77 for Tobias. The guy has a pretty safe floor. Like he's been pretty consistent this year. But 77 more than you want to spend. 72 on Wendell, more than you want to spend. Ibaka's up to 6'3". I like Sabonis in tournaments where he's power forward there. He's 6,000. If he gets the minutes here, he last game had 21 minutes, 47 fantasy points or whatever the hell it was. Like he was a massive point per minute producer, and the matchup with Chicago is not going to get much prettier. So the question was, can we play Rondé in cash? And I think the answer is yes. It is a shit position. Like, if there were multiple good punts, my answer would be no. So I'm actually scrolling to the bottom of power forward and making sure I'm not forgetting anybody at this point. But I have a feeling my answer will be yes, because the position is that bad. My first inclination would be to spend as little as possible. But none of the punts are consistent. I can hope to get me 25 and consistently get me 20. Josh Jackson, that hasn't gone well. Kevon Looney, Jason Smith is gone now. Tolliver guys are back. Marquise Chris, not enough time. Dwight Powell, 17 minutes, might get there. Maxi Kleber, Jonas Jerebko. Taj is all the way up to 48. So at that point, I think you play Rondé Hollis Jefferson. So yes, I guess I have to fully endorse playing Rondé Hollis Jefferson in cash on FanDuel.
Rin Pack, we answered the back half of that question then just there, so that's good. But what do you think about playing Exum and Boban in FanDuel cash?
I'm fine with both.
How about DeAndre Jordan coming off of a dud of a game, which he was pretty highly owned. Now he's got a good matchup with New York. What do you think of him, even though he's a little expensive?
I think he's great in tournaments. He's now, gotten to be, he's expensive. The ownership will very, very low, and he can put up 55 in this spot. Like he's a tremendous tournament play. Point per dollar, especially on DK, where there's all these amazing 5K centers and 3.7K centers. And no, I don't think you necessarily need to go there. But, I think he's a great tournament play. He's just coming off one really bad game and his price is up, but his ownership is going to be way down because of that. And you can obviously get 55 out of him in this spot. There's no one who's going to stop him from getting what he wants there. So like him in a game stack, just like him as a goddamn monster. So feel free. Also, Boban officially starting and confirm. Everybody in both chats really going wild over this. So yep, got to play him. Got to play him. Rework everything around him. Sorry. Okay. I mean, oh my God. By the way, for my season-long fantasy team, am I fucking excited to have picked up Boban off waivers yesterday and streamed him, because he's not going anywhere if he starts for the rest of the year. Dear God. I'm sorry. Those of us who are not allowed to play DFS just got very excited. Like, that's
you got to find your joy somewhere, Eddie. I believe that Boban is yours. I support it.
Joy and rapture and joy for me on that news. So yeah, rework everything. Get him in there.
All right, there you go. So
it sucks. You don't like. If you're asking me, like, if I have something else I'm playing on FanDuel, do I have to rework it? No. The Boban is not guaranteed to get you 37, but he is demonstrably the best point per dollar play. Like, I will project him now for. They say he's uncertain. I'll project him for 22 minutes and 33.5 fantasy points. That's my official Boban projection. So, yep.
Ooh.
On DK, you'd certainly, again, with those other guys who I think do carry the real upside we were talking about, no, you don't have to do it. But, me like you kids. Sorry. I wish I could tell you something else. I wish I could tell you it all ends in sunshine and rainbows, but that ain't the world we live in.
Let's speed around some either or. Is Zach LaVine cash, or would you go to a better spot there?
I don't want to play Zach LaVine in cash. I'm a firm believer of the defense of the backcourt in Pacers, and I don't hate it. He just has massive volume and keeps chucking the damn ball up. So if you have Zach LaVine in cash, I'm fine with that. But it's not a guy I'm trying to get in my cash lineup. It's the easiest way I can explain that. He's fine, but wouldn't be. Favorite minimum price power forward on FanDuel? I'm just going to scroll down and check that one for everyone since I still have power forward selected. I don't recall anyone. Oh, it's Royce. No, it's small forward. Damn it. I was at small forward. I was about to say, there's no way he's a power forward. Oh, God. Woe unto thee who are looking amongst these people for a playable. Woe unto thee. Abandon all hope, ye who play minimum price power forwards on FanDuel. If you have 3,600, it's Josh Jackson. If not, it's Jesus, help us, Pat.
Oh, good.
And you know how I feel about never Pat is my theory, but it's Pat. There's just nothing. I'm not Dragon Bendering. I'm not Jonathan Motleying. It is a vast wasteland upon which stand two trunkless legs of stone. This is yeah, it's not good there. But there you go. Question.
Is Ibaka okay for DK cash?
Yes.
Gordon or THJ for DK GPP?
Gordon.
Let's see. Clay or Eric Gordon?
Eric Gordon. If you have if you have people on Houston and no one on the Warriors, I'm totally fine with either one in that instinct. But on just based on ownership and what I'm hoping to see there, I'm going to go with EG.
Let's see. Thoughts on the FanDuel price for Wendell? Is he in play there?
7,200? No. You're not going to get the 6 steals and blocks to make that work out for me. In play, yes, he's in play in tournaments. We just saw him demolish that price. I'm not going to say out of play, but I'm not trying to get him in there, and I don't think we'll regularly see games like that last one. So I'd be more inclined to not play him, but in play.
In tournaments, can you play Boban and Harold in the same lineup?
Yes, absolutely. I actually like doing that. I'll go. Not only can you do that, I actually think that's a very strong play because you're going to get a very unique lineup construction, which is going to be pretty low owned. So yes, not only can you do that, I think you do. I approve of doing that. Feel free.
And for once, they don't interfere with each other, so that's definitely positive.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to play 24 minutes. I love Harold now that he doesn't have to give up all his minutes. To give up any minutes, rather, is more the point, to Gortat. So, yeah, Boban ain't going to play 48. Now, I say that with him having just played a stupid amount of minutes last night, but I literally like playing both of those guys in a lineup together. Because, again, this is very good news for Harold, too. No longer having 9, 12, 16 minutes of Gortat is exciting, assuming Gortat does not play at all. I don't know if we've seen that concerned. I saw Gortat uncertain to play at all, but yep.
THJ and Dwight Howard or Butler and Tucker for tournaments?
Either. I'm hedging a point there. Either one. Go with your gut.
Let's see. GPP on DK 5,200 or less for a forward. Who would you go with?
It's too much for Eric Gordon. Both those guys are center only. Montrezl is 54. I have to look. None of the guys I like offhand could fit there. In a GPP, probably Thad Young in cash. Maybe TJ Warren. Probably Rondé Hollis Jefferson over either of them. I'll take Rondé.
Let's see. No thoughts on Bob. Okay.
And I like leaving $300 on the table, by the way. I haven't said that in a few shows. So, I prefer to have $300 on the table than no money on the table. I think that is better, strictly, just to be clear.
Would you go Danilo and Jonathan Isaac or Draymond and Wesley Matthews?
They're both really good again. Slightly prefer Draymond and Wes Matt, but no issue with either side of that.
If you're playing double center with Towns and Vooch, would you rework for Boban and go up to Jonathan Isaac?
I don't know what Isaac has to do. Like, if you have Towns and Vooch, you're spending 18,000 there. Now you're saying, will I rework for Boban, who's 3,700, and a guy who's 44? So I don't understand the correlation between those two statements. But yes, I'm just playing Boban. I think at the late time he gets in there, you're going to get 30% ownership, which is great, but there's a real chance that you just outright beat the rest of the field. That is just like, whoops, I won. Like, there's Justin Fan of Fantasy Cruncher tweeted a minute ago, Boban's DK point totals when playing more than 20 minutes: 38, 33, 37, 19, 30, 47, 41, 44, 22, 21, 25, 36. So 4 of those numbers are under 30, 3 are under 25, 11 of them are over. Like, it's just, again, I project him for now 23 minutes and 22 minutes and 33 and a half fantasy points, I said, which feels about right. You could get 30 minutes and 57 fantasy points is my point. And how little is he going to play starting? He's good for a fantasy point and a half a minute. Like, if you're fading him, you're thinking he only plays 18 minutes and gets under the 27 average he gets in those 18 minutes. Good luck. Like, and again, center is kind of shit on FanDuel anyway. Like, there's centers I liked on DK. I like Marc Gasol at his price. He's actually done much better against Rudy Gobert than you would expect. We talked about DeAndre Jordan. Wendell Carter Jr. and Jared Allen are too cheap. But, yeah, I'm just finding room for Boban. You got 90 seconds. Find room for Boban. Make room for Boban.
Carter
That's
Jr.
like a sitcom. Sorry.
Yeah, and he would actually fit appropriately with his looks. He would be very funny.
And make room for Boban. Where do I stay? Like, this is,
would you go Jabari, Harrell, or Isaac Draymond for DK Cash?
Cash. Jabari, Harrell.
Gerald Green, James Ennis, and Jeff Green or Oubre on FanDuel? Wait, what? That was a weird phrase.
You must be one of the 4.
Yeah.
Gerald Green, no. Jeff Green, no. Oubre, and who's the last one? I don't know. Ennis? I would play Ennis. Of those guys, it's terrifying to say, but it's puntable. Need a DK Cash Forward 5.1. I feel like we just did this.
I often
play
like
Rondé Hollis Jefferson.
Okay.
Under a minute.
Wish they would have waited on the Boban news. Yeah, I agree. A sure set money point guard. Who would you pick? It's a very vague question.
FanDuel, Chris Paul. DraftKings, John Wall.
Okay.
That rhymed as well, for which I deserve extra credit.
Very Seussian of you. Let's see. No other questions left. Gallinari, Parker, Wiggins for FanDuel Cash.
Gallinari.
Okay. No other good questions here. Any Luka love today?
Sure. Fine in tournaments. Big upside guy. Matchup is good. Price is no longer as, beginning of the year when he was 6K or something. That was pretty sexy times. But, yep.
All right. And then now the show is over and it's time to do the after show thing. And I'll let you do Daddy Like. We could do double time Daddy Like because I know you got short shrift.
I gotta find. Hold on. I gotta log in here and see what Boban's ownership is on both sites. Let me go with my guess here on the ownership for Boban. It did lock. Before I look, I'm gonna say DK. How much time did we have? That much? I'm gonna say DK 34%, FanDuel 29%. Those are my guesses on the ownership for Boban. Here we go. Checking.
I'm under the field on Boban officially, by the way. I was quickly trying to get him in on my phone. I don't know. I got enough Boban
that's the thing. People are like, why don't you play? I'm like, if I play it, I wouldn't tout. I can't do both at once, and it costs you money. Boban on the largest tournament on DK, 24.6. I overshot it by 10. So hopefully that is all of you. DK was actually, I slightly preferred punting him, even though you have 2 spots there. FanDuel, 28.3. So I'd almost right on the nose on FanDuel. Harrell, 9%, by the way.
Does Daddy like that?
Daddy likes that a lot. Daddy thinks so. Oh, yeah. DK, 4%. So your percentage of people with Harrell and Boban on DK is like 1%. And I think they're both great here. They're great. Like, especially if Gortat is out. We need Gortat to be out. Like, if Gortat plays and picks up some bench minutes, that does screw you. But if we think that's any reasonable chance of that, and again, they're on a back-to-back. Gortat's old. This is a fine spot to just rest his ass. It doesn't mean he's out for the rest of the year and that those other 2 guys are going forward as center. Although I and several other people have been saying Montrezl Harrell is going to be the starting center on this team. by the end of the year is what I was saying. It happened much faster than that. But Dudley's still starting for the Nets. Just annoying. If you have Rondé in there, feel free to move. Harris still starting. Dudley still starting. Good news for your LeVert shares, though.
Yeah, not a bad night for LeVert.
Oh my God, he's starting. He's just starting. I can't imagine if he starts for the rest of the year. Like that's a. If you're watching Mike Gallagher from Roto World, hi, I'm gonna win our season league now against you and all the other good players.
It's an exciting night for Boban. I'm rooting for Boban tonight. I hope he doesn't fall flat in his face. It seems unlikely, but it's DFS.
Yeah, hold on. My wife's upstairs. Honey, Boban is starting. Okay, that'd be exciting. She was sitting here last night. I'm telling her Boban stories and showing her pictures of Boban sitting next to Kristen Chenoweth. And yeah, I'm on air, but he's starting tonight, honey. They've apparently seen the light. Don't say anything too compromising. There's like 1,000 people listening. But yeah, he's starting. He's going to that guy. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I'm really excited. I'm also taunting relentlessly because I streamed him in our season league and I'm not putting him back. He's staying with Daddy.
It'll be fun too because he's in LA. He's going to get more famous and he'll be starring in the Frankenstein movie in no time.
It's totally, yeah, he is terrifying, but he's awesome. He is great. I tweeted a picture of him shaking Kristen Chenoweth's hand at the Oklahoma City Thunder game versus the Clippers the other day. Kristen Chenoweth, one of my favorite musical actresses, but she's 5 feet and 90 pounds, so it makes a pretty amusing picture.
Why is she your favorite actress, Ed? Why don't you share your favorite song with them?
No, okay, honey. All right, stop trying to be a star. But yeah, she's trying to get me. Okay, so Kristen Chenoweth starred in Wicked and does a certain song called Popular.
Are you a big fan of that song, Eddie?
I may perform it occasionally with a certain affect that would not be described as exactly masculine, which is not going to occur right now. No singing.
I think the people. It's a Friday show, Eddie. The people would love that. I think.
No singing on the shows.
It's a Boban night. How could you not?
No. Another time. All right, I'll make you a deal. If Boban scores less than 25 fantasy points tonight, I will sing the song either later tonight on a hopefully very lightly attended Periscope or on tomorrow's show, which I think is a solo show. So I'm guaranteeing the 25 from Boban. Should it not occur, I will sing at least one verse of Popular from the popular musical Wicked. There you go.
And Taddy likes Popular.
I do.
Brendan C.
I do. Okay, well let's get out of here now because my wife is excited to see Boban, as many women are. If you've seen,
let's all go with yes. I'm sure he's a catnip to the ladies.
His girlfriend is about Kristen Chenoweth's side. If you haven't seen this yet, Boban, Google Boban and girlfriend, and they're standing on the beach, and she's literally up to his belly button. It's particularly amusing. So
she gets the Kelly Olynyk special on the regular.
She gets the Kelly O on the special. She needs to take things slowly.
I heard her OBGYN have a fun relationship. Like, again? Yeah, what are you going to do?
My wife thinks you are crass. I just want to point that out.
I'm just thinking about Boban being with someone who's that size and how that would actually work.
It's just like that for you all the time, though.
That's true. You are
That was crass. I was keeping it classy around the league.
I'm just defending myself. All right, I'm ending the stream.
All right, there we go. Thank you guys for watching. Before Eddie ends it, make sure to use that promo code live before lock. Keep your eyes peeled. Eddie will be on this weekend. We'll have a ton of football content. I'll be on tomorrow with Evan Silva. Slated to be with Evan Silva. Hopefully he's ready and available. And Osmo. And then Sunday, back a bunch of shows. Laffy and Ben in the morning. And then me and Josh coming in behind them right before football lock. So keep your eyes peeled. We love you guys. We'll see you again soon. Have a good night and good luck. Go Boban.